Hello friends, this is Pratiksha Garud working as an assistant professor in MVP Samaj, Nasik. Today we have to study metals. But for the sake of understanding, I have divided metals into two parts, that is part A and part B. So let's start with the first, that is part A of metals. So what are metals? Metals are generally hard in nature. They are having high melting and boiling point. They are ductile and malleable, means drawn into sheet and wires. They are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are opaque, means non-transparent. Lustrous, means shiny. They are having high reflecting power. They are having high coordination number. Chemically, the properties depends upon the cation. They have low ionization potential and they lose their valence electrons to form positively charged ions. So these are the characteristics, or we can say these are the metal properties. Okay. So the nature of bonding in metals. So the bond which is formed in metal is known as the metallic bond. So let us see the nature of metallic bonding in metals. The atoms in the metals are held together by a special type of bond, and that is called as the metallic bond. Or we can say that the force that binds metal atom to number of electrons within sphere of influence is called as the metallic bond. The metallic bond can explain characteristics properties of the metals. So let us see the characteristics of the metallic bond. It should have ability to bind identical metallic atom. The metallic bond is a non-directional in character. Most of the metallic properties do not change when metal is in the liquid state, and it should have ability to transfer electron from one atom to other atom. Further, we can say that the metallic bonding is given by three theories. These three theories are the free electron theory, valence bond theory, and the molecular orbital theory, which is also known as the band theory or the band model. So let us explain these three theory one by one. So we are having the first one, that is the free electron theory. So as the name suggests, this theory explains the free electrons. So we can say that metals have low ionization potential and hence they readily lose their valence electrons and form the positive ions. So these free electrons are delocalized. Delocalized means moving. This theory explains the electrical conductivity, malleability and ductility of the metals. But the drawback of this theory is that it fails to explain the specific heat as well as the magnetic properties. So we have to study the next theory, and that next theory, that is the second, is the valence bond theory, which is also called as the VBT. So here we can say that this theory is given by the scientist Pauling. It is based upon the concept of resonance. This theory considers that there is a resonance of electron pair between each atom and its nearest atoms or the nearest neighbors. This theory also explains the physical properties of metal, but the drawback of this theory is that it fails to explain the metallic character in the solution state. So again we are having the third theory, and that third is the molecular orbital theory, or which is also called as the band theory or band model. So we can say that this band theory is an extension of the molecular orbital theory that describes bonding in solids. This theory is also known as band model. So as it is a band model, this theory gives two bands. So let's see these two bands. The bands of orbitals that are filled or partially filled by the valence electrons are called as the valence bands, whereas the higher energy unoccupied bands in which the electrons are free to migrate are called as the conduction bands. So we are having two bands, they are the valence bands and the conduction bands. Then we can say that the greater number of atoms in the crystal results in molecular orbitals that are very close in energy, resulting in a continuous band of energy. So this is regarding the band theory. So let us explain this band theory by taking example. So the band theory for the sodium metal. So let us consider the crystal of metallic sodium. The coordination number of this metallic sodium is 8. Each sodium atom possesses the arrangement of electrons in the various energy levels. Let us see these energy levels. For the sodium atom, the energy levels are 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p and the 3d. Whereas the number of electrons are 2 for 1s, again 2 for 2s, 6 for 2p and 1 for 3s. Whereas 0 electrons for the 3p and the 3d. Or we can say that the electronic configuration for the sodium, which is having atomic number 11, is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. That means it is having one electron in the 3s orbital. This 3s orbital is having only a single electrons, right? So based upon this, when two sodium atoms are close to each other, the 3s atom, which is having a single electron, right? The 3s orbital of one atom overlaps, or we can say combines with the 3s orbital of other atom. So as there are two atomic orbitals, it gives a formation of two molecular orbitals according to the LCAO principle. So these two molecular orbitals are the BMOs and the ABMOs. That means the bonding molecular orbitals and the anti-bonding molecular orbitals, right? Similarly, when we are having three sodium atoms, so these sodium atoms, that means there are three atomic orbitals. Three atomic orbitals will form the three molecular orbitals, and they will be bonding molecular orbitals, anti-bonding molecular orbitals and the non-bonding molecular orbitals. So in this way we can say that thus n number of 3s atomic orbitals of the n number of sodium atoms are combining will form n number of molecular orbitals in a sodium crystals, right? The energy levels of these MOs will be very close together. Thus, they can consider as a continuous and form an energy band. Hence, this theory is called as the band model, right? Now, when bringing of two sodium atoms together leads to a molecular energy level picture, and when adding more and more sodium atoms, this leads to the formation of the quasi-continuous bands, right? So let's explain this again. So we are having one sodium atom. The one sodium atom is having a single electron from the 3s orbital. Then this gives two sodium atoms. That means when there is an overlap of two sodium atoms, we are getting the formation of the two molecular orbitals, as there are two atomic orbitals. These two molecular orbitals are the bonding, which is the lower, and anti-bonding, which is the upper. Then further, we are having three sodium atoms. Okay, these three sodium atoms means three atomic orbitals. Three atomic orbitals gives the three molecular orbitals. They are bonding, non-bonding and anti-bonding. But there are only three electrons from the 3s. So these three electrons, they are occupied first of all in the bonding, and one goes into the anti-bonding. Then further, we are having four sodium atoms. Again, 4 atomic orbitals gives the formation of the 4 molecular orbitals. That means there are again 4 electrons. These 4 electrons, they are first of all moved 2 into the bonding, and the remaining 2 into the non-bonding. So in this way, we are having number of sodium atoms. Like, so as there are number of sodium atoms, we get the number of energy levels, right? That means number of molecular atomic orbitals, which gives a formation of the number of molecular orbitals. But here we can say that the electrons, they are filled to the lower hand side, right? The electrons, they are filled to the lower hand side, due to which we are getting the formation of the band, and that band here is known as the 3s band, right? This is the band of the 3s orbital. That's why it is called as the 3s band. In this 3s band, the upper side, which is called as the conduction band, which is empty, and the lower side, which is called as the field side, which is called as the valence band. Okay, so generally we are saying that the 3s band is always half filled. Why it is half filled? Because the electrons, they are filled into the bonding and the non-bonding only. The anti-bonding remains empty, or we can say that the electrons, they are present only in the valence band. That's why the 3s band is always half filled. Let us again explain this. So we are having this picture here. At the starting we are having one sodium atom, one electron, then two sodium atoms, two electrons which are filled into the bonding only, three sodium atom, again three electrons, they are again filled into the bonding, and then non-bonding, four sodium atoms, that means four molecular orbitals, these four electrons they are again filled into the bonding, non-bonding, five sodium atoms, the electrons they are filled into the bonding, non-bonding, non-bonding, again six sodium atoms, that means six electrons they are again filled to the lower side, again seven sodium atoms, again seven electrons they are filled to the lower side. That's why we can say that we are getting a band, and that band is always a half filled because the electrons they are filled to the lower side. That's why the 3s band is always half filled. Okay, or further we can see this in the picture. The 1s band is completely filled, right? The 2s band is again completely filled, the 2p band is completely filled. This is for the sodium metal, and the 3s band is always half filled. This is shown by the shaded region. Okay, so this is for the sodium metal. Then formation of energy band in a crystal takes place when there are large number of atoms. The atoms are sufficiently close to each other. The combining atomic orbital possesses matching symmetry. The atomic orbitals are of same energy and have sufficient overlapping. The interaction between the atomic orbitals is strong, and the energy band covers all atoms and belongs to the whole crystal. Okay, so this is the requirement for the formation of the energy band. Further, we can say that the band theory explains two types of curves, and the two types of curves given by the band theory, they are small n e curve, and the second one is the capital N E curve. Both are any curve, but see the difference. In the first case we are having the small n, and in the second case we are having the capital N. So first is the small n e curve and second one is the capital N E curve. So let us explain these two curves one by one. So first of all we are having small n e curve. So what is this small n e curve? So this gives complete distribution of electrons in energy levels between energy bands, or we can say that the distribution of electrons between a range of energy levels in the energy band is given by the curve which is called as the small ne curve, right? So from this ne curve we are getting the distribution of electrons, how the electrons are distributed in various energy levels in a particular energy band. Okay, so where here we can say that the small n represents the number of electrons in each band, and capital capital E is equals to energy of the band. The energy distribution of the electrons in a band is given by plotting the graph, and the graph is of small ne versus energy. So let's see that graph. This is the graph. This is a graph of small ne versus energy. This is small ne versus energy, which is called as the ne curve. And here this dark shaded region, represents the filled band, whereas this white portion, this indicates the empty. This is filled and this is empty region. This is called as the small ne curve. Now let us see the characteristics of the small ne curve. So this is the ne curve. This ne curve, we are having 3 points, A point, B point and the C point. So here we can say that this curve represents the energy band for a particular energy level. That means for particular energy levels we are having the energy band. The area under the curve is proportional to the total number of electrons in a particular band. Then the curve shows that C, this C point is the most favored energy by the electrons. Okay, further we can say that the breadth of the energy band varies from metal to metal, and it is in the range of 1 to 10 electron volt. Then the change in temperature changes the filling of electrons in the available energy levels or state within the bands, and the change in temperature also changes the shape of the curve. So these are the characteristics of the small Ne curve. Then let us see the capital Ne curve. We have seen the small Ne curve. Now we are having the capital Ne curve. What is this? This is the capital Ne curve. This is capital Ne curve. This curve gives the density of energy levels, or we can say that it is defined as a curve which gives the number of energy levels present in the energy bands. So particular energy band, how many number of energy levels are present in a particular energy bands is given by the capital Ne curve. And this is the capital Ne curve. Let us see the characteristics of this capital Ne curve. The capital N represents total number of energy levels in each energy band, and E stands for the energy of the band. The number of Ne curve depends upon the S, P, D and F energy levels. For example, sodium atom has 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p energy levels, right? The capital Ne curves are separated by energy gap. We have seen in the picture. They are separated by the energy gap. For example, capital Ne curve for 3s is separated from the capital Ne for the 3p. Further, the two Ne curves may overlap with each other. For example, Ne curve of 3s overlap with the Ne curve of 3p. The shape of the Ne curve is important to determine the electrical conductivity of metals. The electrical conductivity of filled band is always 0. So these are the characteristics of the capital Ne curve. Now let us see the comparison between the small Ne and capital Ne. So at one side we are having the small Ne curve, and other side we are having the capital Ne curve. So what is the small Ne? It gives the energy distribution of the electrons in a band, whereas the capital Ne, it gives the total number of energy levels. Further, small Ne curve gives a total number of electrons in the energy band, whereas capital Ne curve, each energy level has 2 electrons. Small Ne curve, it is used to shows electron distribution between energy levels in the band, whereas capital Ne, it indicates actual energy levels in the band. Further, for small Ne, the area under the Ne curve gives a total number of electrons, whereas for the capital Ne, the area under the Ne curve gives total number of energy levels in the energy band. Then for small Ne, the area under the Ne curve is double than the capital Ne, whereas the area under the small Ne curve is double than that of the capital Ne. Then the Ne curve will not extend at high temperature, whereas the capital Ne curve will extend beyond the small Ne curve at higher temperature. So these are the points of differences between the small Ne and the capital Ne curve. Thank you. So this is the first part of metals. In the next video, we have to study the second part of metal. Thank you.